He goes, after this tour, I need you to turn your jersey in. You'll be done. So the whole time I'm in Switzerland, in France, I'm knowing that I'm fired. So I'm still playing the game, but I know like after this tour is over with, John Ferrari's not gonna let me play with the Harlem Globetrotters or the Washington Generals anymore. All because I've dealt with this ex-wife that I was with. And so then I knew I needed to divorce her. So after my rookie year, coming home after Spain, it was like, I'll never forget there. I wanted to go work out because there's nothing else to do. Once your life is pro basketball, it's like there's no more classes or, so all you have to do is worry about staying in shape. And so I was like, all right, when I come home from Spain, I was like, yo, she was still in school herself at the community high school, Cincinnati State or whatever. And so I told her, I'm like, yo, I'm going to just go up there and work out in the gym. I heard that the coach at Cincinnati State was from Chicago. And I was like, I'm going to just go up there and work out. 6'10" guy walks in your gym. You're going to let him work out, right? You know what I mean? In the summertime. So she was like, why you want to go up there? Why you want to follow me up there? That's my school. And I was like, I've just got home. I've been home like a week and a half. You know what I mean? I took a little time off with no basketball. I'm like, why is she acting like this? Like, I just got here. She should be happy that I go anywhere with her. Mm-hmm. So I find out that she had slept with the coach. Damn. And so I'm like, fuck, now I can't even work out up there. Like, why would you, out of all the people you can sleep with, you go and fuck the coach?
Well, let's actually talk about the dynamic of being in a relationship with a stripper. Right. You know that she dances for a living. She's, dealing with so many different clients, customers from wherever.
True.
And yeah, she's shaking her body and, who knows what kind of strip club it is. If it's like a full body nude or just a half body.
Full.
Yeah. So full body. So she's out here.
Spreading it open.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I was like, I'm trying to be respectful, but yeah.
Busting it wide. Hey, it's not my wife.
She was
anymore.
doing it.
That's somebody else's, you know what I mean?
She was busting it wide open. So, but you're in love with her. This is your lady. So now she's crossed a certain boundary that you guys had.
Yeah.
When it comes to actually sleeping with someone outside of your relationships and being married. And was she still dancing while y'all were married?
No.
She wasn't.
Once I went pro, it was like, all right, you're coming out the strip club.
And then the money's coming in, you're doing your thing, and you're out the club.
Yeah, get an apartment.
Yeah. And you're taking care of her and her child.
Taking care of her and her child because it's a package deal, right? So I was ahead of my time. I was being a father before I needed to be a father. But I'm like, you know what? I already met your kid. Me and her are cool. Even though that father lived in the same city, he was not actively in the kid's life. So I'm like, all right, taking care of the kid too. But she always liked a lot of money, fast money. Her priorities was always about what we talked about earlier, like just keeping up with the Joneses and appeasing other people. So she always wanted to have a Louis Vuitton bag. She always wanted to have red bottoms, True Religion jeans, and all these things that don't really matter, right? It's like, get your credit together. Let's purchase property.
And how old are you at this time? Like 20, you said 22, 23, 24?
Yeah, 23, 24, somewhere around there, because I graduated 22, did a full season.
Yeah, and you're married and you're full on married, taking care of your wife and
who's 4 years older than me.
4 years older than you. You're the bag. She has the rich lifestyle habits. She wants all of that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I can still monitor my bank account, and I'm like, yo, you went to dinner and it was like $200 by yourself? No, I went with my friend. Okay, you picked up the check? She didn't pay? But obviously T got it.
Man, the lifestyle, man, I tell you.
My husband's paying for this meal. Not, I'm going to have a conversation with him and ask him ahead of time. I don't care. I'm a basketball wife.
Why do you feel like you might have been passive on the things that didn't sit right with you?
Like I said, that debt was, even though it was $400, it felt like it was $4,000. I think that's something that kind of held over my head. It was just more so not about the dollar amount, but it was about the gesture. She made it possible for me to get to where I was. Not only just the school thing, but in the summer, she bought groceries, took care of me. I'm training, I train with different trainers because the agent, once I got the agent, he sent me to different trainers before my workout with the Bucks. So all I had to do was I didn't have to worry about food or anything. She just took care of all of that. Yeah. Transportation, gas, whatever, to go back and forth to the gym and stuff. So,
and you kind of felt indebted to those actions.
Yeah, because I'm like, she took care of me.
So what would you say your love languages are at that time?
Those things were what? Acts of
service, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, outside of like her paying me back or her giving me sex and that, I was like, okay, I got to do something to pay her back. So let me give her financial security. Mm-hmm. And so I did it, even though I had conversations with her about, like, yo, chill out on the dinners and the, splurging certain items and stuff like that. Like, because there is no, like when I come home in the off season, that's it. The team's no longer paying me. So if I have to do a stretch of, and contracts overseas are not guaranteed, like I said. So the agent has to find you your next job opportunity. You don't know when that's going to be.
And that's renegotiating a new contract, and who knows how long that's going to be or what the needs of the teams are.
So why not, as I look back on it, I'm like, man, if I was single and kept myself, just to myself, like I could have been racking in all those months. I could have just had saved so that in the off season, stress-free.
Yeah. So let's go back to that point where, she slept with the coach, and then what happened after that?
So we couldn't even get to the school because she's like, well, I got to tell you something. I slept with the coach. I'm like, fuck.
And she told you. You didn't find out. Yeah.
No, I didn't find out from anyone else. She told me she slept with the coach. She also told me at the time she was 26 years old, she slept with like an 18-year-old kid who was going to school there. And she's just like, yeah, these are the people I slept with while you were gone. So I'm like, wow, that's tough. Uh-huh. So at that point, I was like stuck with the decision, like, do I even stay with this woman? She's so promiscuous. Like, she's like, well, it wasn't that they did anything for me financially. It was just that you were not here and I was horny.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. That's tough. So, and then I was pissed. I think the main reason why I was mad was because I didn't fuck anybody when I was in Spain.
Oh, no, that's the worst. When you're not cheating. Exactly. When you're not cheating and you get cheated on. I was like,
man, I wish I could just go back and just fuck all the girls who were like throwing themselves at me. But so that was really what.
But you also had to be about your business again. Exactly. Everything is falling on you. Your finances, if your performance on the court, being able to communicate with your teammates, get along with your coaches, the politics. True. All that stuff. The last thing you're thinking about is trying to just hook up with some chicks or mess around or do some bullshit that could jeopardize your family.
True.
You're not going to do that. And then if your wife has these expensive spending habits, and like, what do you really do with that? What do you do? And then I guess at some point you're just like, this is too much. I can't handle all this, right?
Exactly. So there was that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Was like, all right, we moved past the coach and the 18-year-old and we were rocking or whatever. And I went to Morocco and I had a season in Morocco And I came home, and there was like this dope boy guy that she started to deal with. His name was Deal. And she's dealing with him while I'm there. Not even out of the country. She's like sneaking around. And I'll never forget, it was like 4th of July weekend.
And how did you find out about this?
So I was really close with her aunt, her mom's sister. And so there was a birthday party for her daughter. Mind you, I don't have any kids at the time. Her daughter is my kid. So there's a birthday party for her daughter at this restaurant. And I'm like, yo, who paid for all this? Because I didn't pay for it. And so the aunt pulls me to the side and she's like, you know, your wife's boyfriend paid for all of this. I was like, what? We're at the restaurant as she's explaining this to me. Like, what do you mean her boyfriend? Like, I'm her husband. What are you talking about? She's like, yeah, I'm sorry. He paid for all this. So I didn't say anything. I let because I didn't want to ruin, at the time, my stepdaughter's birthday. So I'm like, all right, I let it all go. And then we left, we get back to the house and I confront my ex-wife and I'm like, yo, who paid for all that stuff? I heard, your boyfriend paid for it. She's like I told you, with me, she's always like, if I fuck T, everything's fine. So she instantly started to take her clothes off and was like, I'm sorry, da, da, da. She wants to fuck me to make me forget the fact that you just fucked the coach and the 18-year-old a couple months ago. Now we're in a predicament to where you're fucking a dope boy who's paying for the entire birthday of a kid that I thought was mine. Well, not mine, but my stepkid.
And her way of apologizing is through sex. I'm sorry. Let's just have sex, and hopefully you'll feel better and forget.
Put her ass in my face. Pulled her pants down. She had no panties on. Put her ass in my face and was like, "Come on, just fuck me." First off, you probably been fucking this dope boy. You know what I mean? Smelling his penis on you. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I ended up leaving and I went back to Chicago. So I left her and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just get a divorce, start my life back over. I did just that actually. I started playing ball for 2 months in the summer. I played with the Harlem Globetrotters and I did only international tours. So we went to Switzerland, Japan, Lebanon, Paris, France. We went everywhere. And she called me while I'm in Japan, called me on Skype. And she's like, yeah, I got robbed, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, she knows I'm a nice guy, right? So always to pull on my heartstrings. So I'm like, damn, it's kind of messed up. You got robbed. And I'm like, what happened? So, she's like, oh, the police came and they said no forced entry, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that lets me know your boyfriend robbed you. You know what I mean? No forced entry. It's it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know the guy you gave the key to is the one who went in there, took all your Louis Vuitton bags, took your daughter's Nintendo Wii, just took back probably all the money that he felt he invested in you. And so she's like, yeah, and I don't know if I'm pregnant, but I think I might be pregnant. So I'm like, I know it's his, you're right, because I haven't dealt with her in months. I've been gone. She's like, well, I'm going to find out if I'm pregnant or not. So she had a doctor's appointment. She calls me a couple of days later. And she's like, yeah, I'm leaving doctor's appointment. They said I wasn't pregnant. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Ooh. Right? Bookmark that. So she's like, well, when you come home from Japan, can you come here? So I have to tell the team manager, yo, instead of booking my flight to Chicago to go home, because at that time that was my home base to the Globetrotters. All right, every time we're done with the tour, T goes back to Chicago. But I'm like, yo, can you book it to Cincinnati for me? He's like, yeah, I could do that. Boom. So he books it to Cincinnati. But like, yo, but the next tour starts in a week. You only get a week to be home, and we're gonna fly you back out from Chicago because that's home
So
base.
you have to go from Cincinnati to Chicago because you already had everything logistics wise worked out. Yeah,
exactly.
Gotcha.
So I get back to I go to Cincinnati on my week break, and I'm thinking she wasn't pregnant. So I'm getting there, and I'm like, yo, we can try to work things out. She had an abortion. So she lied to me and said that she wasn't pregnant. She had an abortion. She has this big ass diaper thing on. She's all wrapped up, bleeding and shit like that. You know what I mean?
And it was the abortion of the guy.
It was from the dope dealer guy. Damn. Who told her to go back to her husband.
And mine, you don't have any children at this point.
I have no children of my own you know what I mean? Yeah, gotcha. And so I'm like, wow, why did you lie to me to get me here? I would have never came here. She's like, well, that's why I know. I knew you were not going to come if you knew I had an abortion from his baby. So we sit there and we talking or whatever. We kind of work things out or whatever. And she's crying. And I'm like, all right, well, I need to go back to Chicago because I got to go to my flight to go back on tour. And long story short, I missed my Chicago flight. And so the owner, not even the manager who books the flights, the owner called me. His name is John Ferrari. He goes, T, we're not in the business of just booking flights from anywhere. You're costing us extra money to pay to book these flights. Like, obviously you're not focused. Even though it's fake basketball, it's still a business. He goes, after this tour, I need you to turn your jersey in. You'll be done. So the whole time I'm in Switzerland, in France, I'm knowing that I'm fired. So I'm still playing the game, but I know like after this tour is over with, John Ferrari's not gonna let me play with the Harlem Globetrotters or the Washington Generals anymore. All because I've dealt with this fucking knucklehead of a ex-wife that I was with. And so then I knew I needed to divorce her. So that's when I started to put wheels in motion to separate my life from her.
When it really got to that point where it was messing up the bag. And,
exactly.
And also her promiscuous ways.
Exactly. So as I'm trying to divorce her, she's later on after the tour, it was like a couple months after I came back, and I think that's when I impregnated her.
So you came back from tour even when you knew you're getting fired.
Yep.
You still end up getting together and you guys had sex.
Had sex.
Yeah.
Got her pregnant. Get a contract from my agent. It's like, yo, going to Colombia. I said, what? Okay, cool. It actually gave me a little bit of time before my flight. So I'm like, all right, cool. I think it gave me like 3 weeks to a month, but I had already signed my deal. So I'm like, all right, cool. Training, trying to get in shape, whatever, and get there. Well, actually, before I left, I was like, listen, when I go to Colombia, I'm done with you. She's like, what? I'm pregnant. I'm thinking like, get the fuck out of here. You're just saying that because I'm leaving you. And she shows me the stick. Stick is positive, whatever. And long and behold, she was pregnant.
And how long were you guys married at this point before your divorce?
Well, we didn't get divorced right then and there because when she told me she was pregnant, I kind of stuck around. So we actually did 9 years.
9 years, wow.
Off and on for 9 years. I was gone it was mostly off than it was on. It was just the fact that she would petition for the divorce and then drop it. I would petition for the divorce, and then because I was playing ball, I couldn't be there for the actual hearings, so then I would drop it. So it wasn't until I said, you know what, fuck this, I'm leaving, I'm going to Atlanta, move with my brother to Atlanta, and that's when I went forth with the divorce to see it all the way through when I moved here. And saw it all the way through to the end until they said, you know what, you're a good father, we like it, we'll give you 50-50 custody, but she's going to be custodial parent because it's the same sex or whatever reason the judge had. And she just put in the final decree that I had to pay child support, even having my daughter week to week, week on, week off. She's like, you're still going to pay. Because Georgia goes by like a calculator where it's like whoever makes the most money is the one who's going to have to pay. So, needless to say, I made more money than her, and they're like, all right, you're going to pay X amount of dollars child support, in addition to seeing your daughter all the time. So, it just is what it is. I had to swallow that. Like, all right, I love my daughter, so I'm definitely going to always be in her life, regardless of what amount of money a judge who doesn't know me deems me to pay. And, yeah, that's where things kind of ended up.